I love how the article describes a preemptive way to teach children how they can learn from a behavior mistake possibly that they made in the past. I liked the example that they used of the playground because oftentimes I believe that that's how teachers, I hate to use the word punish, but in a sense that is what we do is to have a child understand that they made a mistake or they disobeyed a rule. We give them a consequence um, to pay the price for what they did later on. I like the way that this lets the student body as a whole work in a group to come up with things that they could do to learn from this behavior, such as let's take homework for example. I had a lot of students this past year who would forget to bring their homework. So we set up at the beginning of the year, I was taking away recess. When they didn't bring their homework, they missed 5 minutes of recess, or they had to work on it at recess till they got it done. And for some children, this was very difficult. They would miss all of their recess trying to get homework done because one, their language was poor and they couldn't read it, or two, um, that wasn't enough incentive for them. They didn't care if they missed recess or whatever. So what I started doing is I created a homework heroes chart in which the students earned a sticker for every item of homework they brought in, and then when they earned so many stickers, they could choose a prize such as a free homework pass or 10 minutes on the computer or buddy reading or individual reading at a comfy place in the room. There were rewards for them doing the right thing instead of punishment. I do think that this particular philosophy is in alignment with how I feel about things now, but I think it took this last classroom of students to really help me understand that. And I think that's kind of sad, honestly, that the previous students maybe suffered a little bit because I didn't understand that what I was doing wasn't effective. And but I'm glad that this particular class um, brought it to my attention because they were driven by positive reinforcement and they needed those chances to collaborate with each other and make those lists and things like that in order to be able to have a little more ownership over their behavior. They needed that option. So we had lots of conversations in class where cafeteria behavior was an issue for my kids this year, and if we had an issue in the cafeteria, we would talk about it afterwards, and we would say, all right, so tomorrow, what are we going to do differently? How can we help each other to be on task and be in our seats and be talking with inside voices and things like that without getting out of our seats and getting loud and getting into trouble ourselves. So, those are things that it's not hard to do. It's just a matter of you have to be aware and think ahead of time, pre-plan, really talk to your kids about being aware of themselves and each other and looking out for each other. It's more about becoming a community of learners, a community of citizens in a classroom to be able to use this approach. The disadvantages of it are maybe you still have those students who aren't going to cooperate and aren't going to follow those guidelines, and that will ultimately affect everyone else. But I think for the majority of students, the advantages would be that they're not being punished. The whole class isn't being punished for something that maybe one child does. They really are working together to help each other, which really does build the community.